You won't believe what I experienced on that date. After 4 years of being single, I thought I was ready for a fresh start. I got all dressed up, dressed my best, and went with my heart full of hope. But what was supposed to be a romantic evening turned into a living nightmare. A date so awkward, so terrifying, that I literally had to flee through the restaurant kitchen door. Yes, I had to escape like I was in a movie scene. Want to know why I got to this point? Then stay until the end, because what happened next will shock you. Before continuing, please hit the subscribe button and like this video. Your support is crucial to me, and trust me, you'll want to remember this story. My name is, well, let's just say I'm a 45-year-old woman who thought she had learned all of life's lessons the hard way. I've been through divorce, heartbreak, and plenty of disappointments. I spent years being what I now realize was a complete pushover in relationships, always trying to please everyone else while losing myself in the process. I cried over people who weren't worth a single tear, and I gave my energy to those who never deserved it. 4 years ago, when my divorce was finalized, I made myself a promise. No more settling for crumbs. No more accepting less than I deserved. I spent a good long time alone, putting the pieces of my life back together, rediscovering who I was as a woman, as an individual. It was a long process, and honestly, at first I told everyone I was perfectly happy being single. And to some extent, that was true. But as time went on, the house started feeling too quiet. Those Sunday afternoons with no one to share a pizza with began weighing on me. I started missing things that go beyond just companionship. I missed being looked at with desire, having someone ask me how my day went, getting a gentle touch at the end of a long day. The truth is, nobody was born to live in complete isolation. And even after all the hurt life had thrown at me, my heart still stubbornly insisted on believing that there was someone decent out there, waiting for the chance to do things differently. It was in this mixture of hope and loneliness that I decided to download a dating app. I know, it sounds like something a teenager would do, or someone who's completely desperate, but that's what dating has become these days. It's the new bar scene, except without the drinks, without the loud music, and with way more filtered photos. As soon as I created my profile, I was bombarded with messages. There was everything you could imagine. Married men looking for affairs, young guys who thought I was some kind of experienced older woman fantasy, and completely lost souls who didn't even know what they were looking for. I was patient, though. I didn't want to throw myself headfirst into just any conversation. I observed, I filtered, I blocked the most inappropriate ones, and eventually I got involved in a message exchange with a man I'll call Alex. He was 50 years old, had been separated for 6 years, and what caught my attention right away was his well-written profile and natural photos. Nothing seemed forced or fake. What really got me was how he started our conversation. No cheesy pickup lines, no forced compliments. We got to know each other gradually, talking about everything from classic movies to life situations that only people who've been knocked down a few times can really understand. He said all the right things, had a beautiful vocabulary, made me laugh, and most importantly, he listened to me. I felt like even from the other side of the screen, he was paying attention to every detail of what I was saying. This was slowly winning me over. After almost a month of conversation, he suggested we meet in person. My heart actually started racing. I hadn't been on a date in 4 years. I prepared myself like it was the first date of my life. I got my nails done, styled my hair, carefully chose a wine-colored dress that flattered my figure. I looked at myself in the mirror and thought, "You've got this, girl." I arrived at the restaurant with that mixture of butterflies and excitement in my stomach. You know that feeling when you're hoping everything will go perfectly, but deep down you have this little fear of being disappointed? That was me in that moment. The place was beautiful, discreet, with dim lighting and Italian music playing softly in the background. I sat at the table he had reserved and sent him a message letting him know I was there. Minutes later, I saw a man approaching. It was him, but here comes the first disappointment. Alex looked about 10 years older than he did in his dating app photos. His face looked worn down, his hair was messy, and he had a belly that his dress shirt could barely hide. But okay, I thought to myself, "You're no supermodel either. Calm down." I gave him a friendly smile, stood up to greet him, and he gave me a kiss on the cheek that was so wet I wanted to use hand sanitizer immediately. But I held back, took a deep breath, and sat down again. The first few minutes were strange. He seemed more interested in staring at my chest than maintaining a conversation. His eyes went up and down without any shame whatsoever. I adjusted my neckline, crossed my arms, tried to change the subject, bring up things we had talked about over messages, but it felt like I was talking to myself. Every sentence I said, he would respond with a simple and go back to staring at me like I was a piece of meat. The waitress came over, we placed our order, and that's when the real disaster began. He decided to order a bottle of wine even though I told him I didn't drink at night because it made me feel sick and gave me headaches. "Oh, come on, just one glass. Loosen up a little," he said, trying to be charming, but I could already smell alcohol on his breath from earlier. I accepted more out of politeness than desire, and after his second glass, his behavior became even stranger. Alex started laughing loudly, telling unfunny jokes and making embarrassing comments. He said he loved experienced women, that I looked like I knew what I was doing, and that a woman who had been alone for 4 years must be ready for action. My blood was boiling. I still tried to maintain my composure, but he wouldn't stop. He grabbed my hand forcefully, forcing intimacy, and said that after dinner we could go somewhere more private. But here's where it gets really scary, and this is the part that still gives me chills when I think about it. The way he was looking at me, the way he was talking, the aggressive way he grabbed my hand, I suddenly realized this wasn't just a bad date. This man had completely different intentions than what we had discussed. Every instinct in my body was screaming danger. My first impulse was to throw the wine in his face and storm out, but I took a deep breath, forced a smile, and said I needed to use the restroom. I left the table shaking, my mouth dry with anger and fear. When I got to the bathroom, I leaned against the sink and started crying, not just from frustration, but from genuine fear of what this man might be capable of. How had I, after so much time, after so much waiting, gotten myself mixed up with someone like this? That's when I made my decision. I wasn't going back to that table. I took out my phone, called a rideshare, and started thinking about how to get out of there without causing a scene. That's when I noticed a side door at the back of the restaurant, in the bathroom corridor. It was a service exit, kind of hidden near the kitchen. I didn't think twice. I slipped through there, trying not to draw attention, and ran to the other side of the street where my car was already waiting. In the back seat of that car, with my heart racing and my makeup smeared, I broke down completely. The driver asked if everything was okay, and all I could manage to say was, "It is now." Because in that moment, even having gone through one of the most disappointing nights of my life, I felt enormous relief at having gotten out of that situation with my dignity intact. Alex sent me messages afterward, calling me rude and saying I had led him on and then chickened out. I blocked him immediately and never looked back. But here's what I learned from that terrifying experience, and this is the most important part of my story. I learned that sometimes the real problem isn't being alone. Sometimes the real problem is insisting on getting out of loneliness with just anyone. After that humiliating escape, the following days were a whirlwind of emotions I had never felt before. That first day, I couldn't even get out of bed properly. I kept replaying that whole scene in my head. The strong smell of alcohol on his breath, those hungry eyes that didn't disguise what he wanted, that fake laugh, that rudeness disguised as jokes. I felt like an idiot, like I had fallen into a trap that I had allowed myself to walk into. But at the same time, I had enormous relief for having gotten out of that situation, for not letting it turn into something worse. I spent a lot of time thinking about what happened and what I was really looking for in that encounter. Did I really want a relationship or just a little attention? Was I deceiving myself, thinking I could trust any guy who wrote a few nice words on a dating app? The truth is, I needed to find myself again, value myself more, understand that I couldn't accept just anything to avoid being alone. Loneliness, no matter how painful it might be, cannot be an excuse to give up your dignity. In the following weeks, I stopped using the dating app, put my phone aside, and started investing in what really made me feel good. I went back to painting, started working out, and reconnected with old friends. Every conversation, every laugh, every hug I received reminded me that I didn't need anyone to complete me because I was already whole. Of course, I still felt the desire to meet someone, to share my life, but not in that desperate way, without respect. I wanted a love that would be a true companion, that would respect me and value me, not one that would make me run out of a restaurant through the back doors. I realized I was giving myself time not to repeat the same mistakes, not to fall again into the trap of, it seems like it is, but it's not. Today, almost a year later, I'm still open to love, but with my feet on the ground and my head held high. I still get messages from strange people on dating apps, but I filter, I choose, and I only invest when I feel it's worth it. What happened that night stayed in the past, with an expensive but necessary lesson. I'm no longer the woman who tried to fit into other people's standards to be loved. I'm the woman who learned to love herself first, and only then looks for someone who deserves that love. If I ever go on another date, may it be with someone who truly sees me, who treats me with respect, and who doesn't make me flee through restaurant back doors. Because I deserve more, much more. This is a real story from one of my followers on another platform who shared their experience with me. Thank you so much for trusting me with your story and for opening your heart. I hope you're doing well, and I want you to know that you absolutely made the right choice that night. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe to my channel, hit that like button, and share this video. Your support helps me continue sharing these important stories. And please, leave a comment below if you've ever had a dating disaster like this one. I'd love to hear your experiences and continue this important conversation about self-respect and safety in dating. Remember, being alone is always better than being with someone who doesn't respect you. Stay safe out there and never settle for less than you deserve.